What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Chris, and this is your weekly news recap. On this week's edition, we talk about how Epic announces the new Unreal Tournament, and we'll also be having some discussion about some MMOs like Elder Scrolls Online being delayed on consoles, Wildstar will soon be coming out, and May will soon be Camelot Unchained's batshit crazy May. First up, let's talk about Epic announcing Unreal Tournament. Now, this is something I was very excited for. They tweeted about this a week ago, saying they were going to put out an announcement. It happened this Thursday at 2 p.m. on Twitch. And they announced that they're coming out with a new Unreal Tournament. It's being made by a very small team over at Unreal, or over at Epic Games, and it's going to be using well, at least I think we all assume it'll be using the engine that uses its namesake. So it's going to be made on the new Unreal Engine, but it's only being for PC, Mac, and Linux. But what's really interesting about the game is that it's going to be entirely free to play. That means exactly what it sounds like, entirely free to play. There's no microtransactions or DLC or anything else like that. The entire base game is just free to play. The only transactions in the game will be in a marketplace that's going to be set up by Epic Games, where anyone does mods or they create their own modes. Any people that are doing any kind of editing to the game through the engine, because the source code for the game will be completely accessible, even after all the updates and everything. All that stuff is going to be completely accessible. So all these people who are modding, they're making new skins, all that kind of stuff. They can go ahead and on this marketplace sell what they make, whether it just be additions to the game, and then Epic will take a cut of the marketplace cash that's being traded back and forth. So almost kind of like an internal version of Steam for this one game, which I think is actually really kind of interesting, and actually a really great way, a very freeing way for players to have access to a game and at the same time be very involved in its development, and it makes people that much more loyal to a game. But something else that was mentioned in one of the articles that I linked down below is this is actually a very smart move for the developers over at Epic, in the sense that if you have a bunch of people that are basically developing using the Unreal Engine, then you're going to be able to have the ability to add extra skins. You can have the ability to add extra ideas for modes and maps and all this other kind of stuff, and people are going to be tweaking around with it. And so as the game itself, as Unreal Tournament gets better, then the engine will also have more things being provided to it, more criticism, and so additions can be added to it much easier. They're also going to have a flagship game that they launch with, just like they did with all their previous ones, except for the last Unreal Engine. This one will have a flagship game at launch to show it off, and on top of that, how easy it is to create with it and all that stuff, and it's going to be constantly being updated. So the Unreal Engine has been a huge cash cow for Epic Games, and this is kind of their way of, again, getting the Unreal Engine to be at the very forefront for all their licenses. Also, the last thing about Unreal Tournament that makes me really excited is the possibility of esports. I think that the pacing in Unreal Tournament is exactly what needs to happen for esports. I think that a lot of games, if you look at Call of Duty or Battlefield or a lot of these other games, you just see that the pacing is really slow. But if you've ever seen any video or even played Unreal Tournament back when they were very popular, oh my lord, it's so much faster, it's so much easier, and I think that if done properly, there's a real possibility here for esports, especially going forward. I know that the game has always had gore and that kind of stuff in it, but I find it really, really interesting, the idea of the possibility of having just quick matches, or you can have even like bigger maps with larger teams and just kind of having that team play feel. I think that is something that's broadcast worthy, in my opinion. A game like Unreal Tournament, and in its name, it's tournament, so it's already setting up in your mind picking teams to like and all that kind of stuff. So I think there's a lot here for the idea of esports. I know for me personally, the second that this comes out into alpha, they're going to have the ability for anybody to play it. So for me personally, I'm going to get in right from the get-go. I'm hoping I enjoy it, of course, but they want this to be a really community-focused game. So for me, this looks absolutely awesome, and I'm really, really, really looking forward to it. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the MMO stuff that's going on. So there's a rumor for Elder Scrolls Online that they're going to delay the release for Elder Scrolls Online for the consoles for 6 months. And this came from a Reddit user that saw the FAQ got updated and then it got taken down, but they screenshotted it, and you can find it in the article down below. Really interesting. I think that kind of shows how much Elder Scrolls Online really is struggling and how much it really wasn't ready to be put out at launch. It's got a pretty negative feedback from a lot of people. I know when I played it in open beta, it seemed kind of like it just seemed old and dated. It didn't seem like it was doing anything new. I mean, even the class system, I didn't understand why there had to be classes. It just seemed like their lazy way of trying to fix things. Again, I didn't play it a whole lot, but it just seemed like it's just kind of showing that the model itself was dated. I know the PvP is supposed to be pretty decent, but again, even that's something that they took from Dark Age of Camelot, the first MMO I ever played and absolutely loved. Also, we know that Wildstar is coming out. If you guys haven't already, right now you can get Wildstar beta keys. The open beta is going to be for a week. So you can go ahead and test that out. You'll get different benefits for logging in every day. You can level up to 30. So it's a pretty big open beta, all things considered. If you haven't looked at it, it's a little bit more of an action-oriented MMO. You have basically the telegraph marks on the ground, so you can like dodge them and move out of the way. Very fast pace. I logged in for maybe a minute, and it still has that MMO-ish feel in the sense of just like, I mean, I did the like tutorial kind of thing, and you're right-clicking on stuff and just getting, I don't know, like it doesn't feel different yet, but again, I can't judge anything, but I'll be playing it in the upcoming weeks. So if you guys do end up getting into Wildstar, go ahead and leave your information down below, and hopefully if we're on the same server, because I have no idea what server I'm on, we can play together, put down your character information, I'll see if I can find you, maybe we can play together while I'm on, so that would be awesome. The last thing I want to talk about for MMOs, though, is for a game called Camelot Unchained. Now, this is a working title, and if you guys like PvP like me, then you will love Camelot Unchained. The reason why I mention it now, this is a game that I've already invested a couple $100s into because it had a Kickstarter, and it's being made by a guy named Mark Jacobs and his company, City State Entertainment. Mark Jacobs was the founder of Mythic Entertainment, and they were the people behind Dark Age of Camelot. And Mythic Entertainment eventually helped when they got brought in by EA to make Warhammer Online. Now, Warhammer Online was never the game it should have been. Warhammer Online should have been more in line with Dark Age of Camelot than with World of Warcraft, but I digress. What makes Camelot Unchained so interesting to me is that it's completely PvP focused. There are different mobs and stuff like that you can fight in the game, but the entire purpose of the game is to be fighting other players. You have completely craftable buildings. All the items in the game are craftable, so that means that having actual crafters in there, they have specific crafter classes. So you have combat classes and crafter classes, so it makes things a little bit more interesting in my opinion. And then on top of that, they also have things like horizontal leveling, and like I think like 90% of the world is PvP oriented. So it's really, really interesting to see that you can build your own forts and do all this other kind of stuff. The reason why I mention it, though, is because Camelot Unchained has this little acronym that they go by as BSC, or batshit crazy. And they use this as a way to describe how they're taking a look at the game. They're trying to take a nice, fresh look at MMOs and what can be done to refresh them. They know that this is going to be a niche game, being for PvP, but they also want to take a fresh look at different ways. So one of the things they thought of was, if you brought up like a certain race type, was the idea of like behind, mythologically speaking, it was a shapeshifter, being based in Camelot mythology, that this race would be like a shapeshifter, and its most common form was like a horse. So what if the players use this race to transform into a horse, and then other players could ride on them, and they would have a specific speed buff? So stuff like that. That's a kind of a batshit crazy idea to do that in a game, to have your race be a mobility thing. So again, they have a ton of different stuff like this, but they're having what they call batshit crazy May, and that's where they're going to plan on, I think they said about 3 days or so, they're going to be coming into the office, and every single person there is going to be live streaming on Twitch what they're doing, and they're going to have discussions. They're going to be showing off the game at where it's currently at, and they're also going to, it's still not technically an alpha yet, so don't be super surprised if it's something very rough, but it already looks like it's coming together pretty well. They're going to be announcing the official name. Camelot Unchained is just a working title for now. They're also going to be talking about the magic system, which is going to be completely different. They're going to be talking about archery, combat system, how collision detection works, everything about this game that all the fans like myself are really interested in, and it's going to be time to finally flesh out what it is. I already talked to Mark Jacobs about the ability to do coverage on this game and work with him and talk about it while I make videos about it. Again, they're very community oriented, so I already got permission from him. So as they make these announcements, I'm planning on making videos and content for this game because this is something I'm so freaking excited about. So plan to see more of that stuff here. If you guys are interested at all in that, or you know friends that are, go ahead and have them subscribe because I guarantee you will have tons of awesome content coming out in the future. All right, that wraps up this week's edition of the Weekly News Recap. If you guys haven't already seen, I'm moving the channel in a slightly bit of a different direction. I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on just kind of honest opinion pieces and just things about life. So hopefully that interests you guys at all. I know you guys have been wanting to connect a little bit more with me on a personal level, and you know what? Honestly, I actually really enjoy it. So there's going to be a little bit more vlog style stuff coming out. And of course, my opinion pieces on games that I'm playing. I'm planning to do one for Dead Island Epidemic. I've been playing that more and really enjoying it. So anyways, you can go ahead and see all of that coming out. But until next time, guys, my name is Chris, and I'll see you guys soon.